Hey everybody, Dustin DePirac here, calling this Dandy Graham. We're taking a break from the basketball talk because we got football stuff going on today. It was National Signing Day, first day for for football players to sign their letters of intent for the class of 2013, and it was a bigger deal in Indiana than it usually is. The IU, I think, at this point, we just looked at the latest rival standings. 5th in the Big Ten, 41st overall, and for IU, that's not too shabby at all. In fact, this is without question the highest rated class that Indiana has had since they started really rating and archiving these classes. You can go back to about 2002 on Rivals, and it's probably about similar, probably not as far on Scout and 24/7 and those sort of more newly developed recruiting networks. But ranking-wise, this class looks good. They've got a lot of talent. They went defense heavy because they obviously needed it. Just Andy, just to start, man, what stands out to you about this group, and just what do you expect from this group, I guess?
Well, I mean, I hope there's as much speed as it looks like there is on paper, and not just among the wideouts and running backs and cornerbacks, where just about everybody has some speed. Kevin Wilson addressed us a little bit in the press conference today. He thinks some of the linebackers and some of those defensive linemen can actually chase some folks down. They're athletic, and a lot of the more highly sought recruits or highly regarded recruits are that way. But yeah, you're right about the ratings. I printed out a sheet and took it into our editor. I said, just wanted to show you something that you've never before seen. This is Indiana's 5th in the Big Ten in a recruiting class ranking by Rivals.com. It's not quite as highly ranked by Scout, which is the one that the Big Ten Network uses because it's affiliated with Fox, and so all the services will be different.
Yeah,
but
media
Rivals is been around for a while, and it's by far actually the highest I've ever seen in Indiana football recruiting class ranked. I think the highest I can remember is 8th. I think.
Yeah,
I'd have to go back and
sounds
look.
About right.
But in any case. What was nice today is that there oftentimes are surprises on signing day. And
they got
in
4
Indiana's
big ones.
Case today, there were good ones. There was
most
one,
except for one. Nigel Tribune did not commit.
Right, there was a cornerback who had originally verbal to Iowa State that flipped back to Iowa State. But other than that, it was good news in terms of surprises. Certainly nothing as dramatic as the running back from Fort Lauderdale, whose mom absconded with his letter of intent because she wants him to go to Miami instead of Arkansas, or the Auburn kid, or the kid with the Auburn tattoo who's now going to Alabama, which is just another reminder, kids out there, that getting that tattoo might not necessarily be the best move in the long run.
Watch it. Make sure you're going to keep that one.
But
nothing against tattoos, but just know that it's one you can stick with.
Even though the surprises for Indiana weren't quite that dramatic, they were welcome from an IU point of view, because you got 2 new big defensive tackles, Mo Swain from Georgia, and then
Chris Cormier from Arrowwood.
It's a
Arizona Western Community College was the same where they got Cameron Kaufman.
Correct, and then also LaRae Smith, the running back from Brooklyn, who has the fastest time in the nation in the 300 meters and the second fastest time in the 200 and the 400. And then you got another kid, Anthony Young from Ohio, who's a 10-time.
Today was Today was Daryl Chestnut was the other running back.
Yeah, Daryl Chestnut.
Anthony Young was a wide receiver from previous. So
that's right.
Sorry, Ron Helmer. You were talking about. You mentioned Anthony Young because he's also a track guy. Ron Helmer also was happy with this class, very much so. He got at least 2 sprinters that he obviously wanted.
That was the lead of my column, and Kevin Wilson joked that you could get LaRae Smith and Anthony Young and Nick Stoner on the current team, and Kevin have a pretty good 4x100 relay team if Kevin doesn't drop the baton. And in this case, the football staff did not drop the baton. I think they brought a really good class in. By Indiana standards, historically, it's the best class since the internet age, where you have recruiting services going. And look, there have been other classes. I mean, I think in '86 you had Dave Schnell, who would have been a 5-star quarterback if they had stars back then, and Anthony Thompson in that class.
Yeah.
The classic.
And we're definitely dealing with modern era here.
The classic came in as sophomores with Gonzo and Eisenbarger and Butcher ended up going to the Rose Bowl, and they did okay. Yeah. But in terms of the modern era, this is on paper the best class Indiana's ever signed.
Yeah, no, there was a few things to kind of point out there. You mentioned the speed they've got on the defensive line. Obviously Darius Latham is a guy that can move. If you've seen a North Central game, or you've seen an Eric Gordon All-Stars game, and you've seen Darius Latham
talking basketball
posting up. Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. You've seen enough scoop talk. But Latham can move. I mean, a guy who's 280, 290 who can move like that, who's got footwork like that in the post, you don't see that a lot, and you can just tell. And I don't know if I've even seen him play a football game, but I've seen him play enough basketball games to know that there's not a lot of big guys like that. Maurice Swain is similar. From talking to his coach today, he was saying, we use him at defensive ends sometimes. That guy's 6'5", 6'6", 300.
I was amazed, actually. After he signed, I watched his film, and I was going like, holy mackerel. I mean, the guy is really mobile, really quick. Yeah,
and they've got some players. Obviously, the big ones who we've talked about at length: David Kenny, Antonio Allen, Latham, and Rashard Fancher, the four-star guys. Up until this year, Indiana had a total of 1 4-star recruit. Again, since they started really measuring that, obviously Dave Chanel was a big-time recruit back then, and I'm sure Thompson was and all that. But since 2002, when they really started getting after this, they had 1 4-star recruit. That's Zach Shaw, who's now kind of defensive end, who's sometimes a starter, sometimes not a starter. These guys, it's 4 pretty legit ones. And Allen was, in the is it the U.S. Army All-American game?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, he wasn't. Okay, I wasn't sure was it that or Under Armour. And Allen can just, he can hit you really hard.
He broke 6 face masks this year allegedly. That's the
I didn't
report.
see that. That's
apparently
wicked.
true. So.
Yeah, no, he's something else. When he comes up and hits, he's something else. Kenny had some obscene amount of sacks last year. I can't remember what it was.
He's
and
got
they
great
need a pass
technique.
rush.
I mean, you could tell his dad's a defensive line coach because he really has all the moves.
Yeah,
and he's got an entire repertoire of moves to get to the quarterback, and he's fast.
Right, exactly. Fant's an extremely fast kid. I think he's got like 4.4 speed, something like that. They could use him a kick returner
he's
as well.
He's spectacular with the ball in his hands. I mean, he's probably going to play cornerback, but he'll be one of those guys that he'll be a return guy. They'll find other ways to utilize him, not just as a cornerback.
They'll put the ball in his hands some way. And there's a list of guys after that. I mean, the guy, the name that I keep hearing whenever you talk to some of the recruiting analysts and who's your sleeper is Chase Dutra. Yep. It's kind of a linebacker safety hybrid, but could also probably play offense too.
He's another guy who's good with the ball in his hand.
Yeah, Wilson kept saying that today. So you don't know where he's going to end up.
He's
got all kinds of options.
And he played all over the field for Brownsburg.
They had, I think were they wing T or triple option?
Yeah,
or something?
they did. Yeah, they did a lot of stuff to get the ball in the flat to him and also bring him on reverses.
Right. They really like him. And there's a list of guys. I mean, one guy that hasn't been heralded at all that I was hearing a lot about at the beginning of the year is Miles Graham, as running back from Florida that everybody liked early.
He's a big dude.
Yeah.
I like him not just because of his surname. I mean, once again, looking at his film. And he's listed as an athlete, so they might be looking at him. That's I think.
I thought he was the running back. I thought he was the true running back.
He's listed as an athlete on this
sheet.
But in any case, he's basically a running back and a large Big Ten style back. I mean, if you think about a prototypical Big Ten back, he looks like one. And he was hurt all year. And look, like with all these guys, I mean, we'll see. They have to get on campus. I mean, they pass the on-paper test. They pass the basic look test when you watch highlight film. But we'll see when they get on campus. But last year, when I saw those linemen get on campus and saw how rangy they were and saw how they could run, I said, yeah. I mean, I believe that the hype was justified for some of these guys, and guys back that up with their play. Guys like Spriggs and Feeney and others back that up.
Yeah.
And I think if Indiana even has success somewhere along those lines this year with this class, and just some of these kids can play, that's going to help the defense a lot because these kids can run, and just better overall team speed could really, really kind of work some wonders for Indiana's defense.
I mean, it's going to take a while. I mean, it should be pointed out for as bad as they were statistically, especially toward the end of the year when the bottom really fell out. These are the guys that won out after Wilson brought his first and second class in. I mean, some of these guys are probably going to play immediately. They won't all play immediately. They're not going to completely retool the defense or anything like that. I mean, I would say if we're putting odds on, and Wilson would never in 1,000 years tell you right now who's actually going to play because that goes against his entire philosophy.
Right.
But, I think you'd have to look at this class, okay, who could probably play right away. Kenny, I think, is the first one that you would say because they just haven't got a lot of out of defensive end. Allen's got a really good shot, but I don't know that he's a lock. I mean, as much as he's probably the most high, he'll play. I mean, he'll play on special teams. He'll come in and
he might start at safety.
Yeah, it's but there's guys that have experience back there. Mark Murphy. I mean, Greg Heben,
Greg Heben will be there
the Hardens are still around and stuff like that. I mean, like, I know everybody's not jumping up and down in those names, but those guys are vets now.
Right.
Fant is not going to have an easy time.
No, he's not big enough probably yet. Although apparently he's got really good corner skills.
Right.
They might want to add some strength with him. He'll play.
He's a little guy. He's like 160.
I don't think he'll necessarily redshirt or anything. I mean, I think he'll help with the return game.
Yeah, I think the offensive guys I think are going to have a hard time breaking in, just considering what's all
19
there
starters back
already.
And a lot of offensive guys who have been there for a while.
You're not going to see a true freshman wide receiver step in and play with that group right now when you've got Latimer and Wynn and all of them. But it definitely, obviously. It means a lot in a couple different fashions. I mean, one, it just overall helps the talent level. I mean, you want talent depth, and that's important. But I think also, maybe the biggest thing going forward is Kenny, Latham, Allen, those three guys especially, plus Dutcher, plus Isaac Griffith, the wide receiver from Fort Wayne, really pushed each other to be a part of this. Basically, just sort of all talked and discussed and said, hey, we want to build something here. We want to be a part of Indiana football starting to matter. We want to build up the in-state institution.
Probably 2014 Indiana kids saw that too.
And for the first time in a long time, those guys made the idea of committing to Indiana cool. Exactly. And as weird as that sounds, remember we're talking about high school kids. Cool kind of matters.
Well, and I would say this too real quick. I mean, this, and Wilson made this point, I think it's a legitimate one. This is really the first class where he's talking about a full recruiting cycle, where you get to know kids when they're a little younger and you get them into summer camp, you get to know the coaches, you can develop the relationship, figure out who really fits you well and who really likes you and that kind of stuff. This is really the first class since Wilson got here, because the first one was just,
it was almost all Lynch. Well, I mean, he had a pretty good class from Lynch. Lynch did a good job on his way out.
And even the second year, I mean, you're talking guys that you really weren't able to develop relationships with over the long haul. Like, that really is the key to recruiting. So, if you want to encourage, if Indiana football partisans want to be encouraged, this class is the best class I've seen since the internet age began for Indiana. And it's really the first class this staff has had the full recruiting cycle to try to recruit.
And at least one decent year of not winning, but at least looking competitive.
Progress, right? Yeah. So that's just what I was going to say. What happens if they actually start winning? Yeah. They've shown the capacity to recruit, I think.
They have. All right, thanks, guys.